Remember, in exchange for this, you...
Yeah, I know. Just give it here.
Perfect. Everything according to plan.
The animation style was a very sort of throwback, old school animation style that I enjoyed. I grew up on that type of like Toonami type of aesthetic, Adult Swim, sort of sci-fi comedy type of approach. And I thought the piece had a really great sense of like the cadence and the style of these type of ideas, and really was filling in with a lot of memorable characters, which I think are usually the hallmark of these type of concepts. There are lots of really sort of bright personalities and a wide range of diversity in terms of the personalities that I thought really gave the piece a really great sense of identity. It seemed like seemed very sure of itself in terms of its approach to comedy and the type of figures it wanted to center. And I thought that the humor was consistent from the earliest parts with I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, the blue-haired characters. Name her much bubbly personality as we move to the villains and their sort of the dark like the comically dark sequences with them. I thought that each character sort of graded a balance towards the overall approach stylistically to the piece that really gave it a sort of fun and whimsical vibe that made it easy to get into and sort of had a great sense of world building that I thought made it feel like its own identity and its own world and concept that felt very passionately constructed. Like there was a clear end goal and a clear sort of mentality as to how these characters and stories will play out, and I felt like it came through in the end product.
There were so many elements of different storylines and plots happening. This definitely feels like part of a much bigger world and universe, no pun intended, that they've created. Um, yeah, I thought that the Borkins were really interesting. I loved it was really funny, like the way that she was able to corral them and bring them to the bad guy, which I loved his animation, his whole demeanor was like really badass and kind of scary and cool. I was like, it was just very impressive to see um, just the talent and creativity that went behind creating this whole like CGI world. Um, I liked that even though it was interplanetary, there were still those elements of like social media and being like a streamer. Um, and yeah, and then there's this like personal backstory with Sloane and her father and being from Earth. There's so much to it, and this is just like one tiny episode. And I would love to see more. I think that this is absolutely fantastic.
An animated sci-fi built over revenge, obsession, and our lead who has yet to find out how special she really is. Sloane and hashtag Ho have a nice flair of foiled character relationship. Ho points this out as she very loudly shares her opinions for the universe to see. Rather than making us question if Sloane can take on the villain, we actually really see him display his weaknesses and obsessions over her father. He craves this sort of undying loyalty, and the twist of the Borkins not affecting our lead here shows off that her specialty, um, how special she really is, as it does drain everybody else. The twist of the mystery man being her father was a nice touch. As for the most part, I feel like the short does allude that he is missing and possibly dead. Animation is smooth here. The world details are incredibly built between both the humanizing aspects and the otherworldly aspects.
This idea of being in outer space and in the future and having a taxi driver is a great setup. It's a series, so I think it's a great setup to introduce a lot of characters and have these singular moments. It kind of reminds me of, I think, High Fidelity. I think that's what it is, where it's like a drug dealer and he goes around, but it's in the same vein of like you're in this profession where you get to see a lot of characters. So I think that's great that that's a series, and you've made this into a series, and it's a really great episode. It's a lot of fun. You introduce some great characters. There's a great through line. It's it's a fun it's a fun look at the future and celebrity and gossip and like who's who. Like I think it was really fun and it came together to be a really cohesive piece.
I just love the title of Sloane and the Cosmic Schlep. That's a great title. I just know I'm in for, a good time. But yeah, no, the premise is fun. Kind of intergalactic taxi driver, and we're kind of doing the kind of celebrity culture thing in outer space in the future. So, we're getting some satirical social commentary with a lot of fun sci-fi. We got kind of a danger element and some adventure, and yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's funny. I love the characters. I love the designs, and yeah, no, I love seeing animation like this, just independently produced. It's like this group of people, they're doing their own thing, free of any corporate constraints or whatever. And so, yeah, very cool. I also like seeing this is episode 3, so obviously it's a series. So I'm glad there's more of this happening.
Very much a wacky and crazy space adventure, but it was very much a fun time. I loved my favorite thing honestly was the small generic aliens in the background, especially during the second party, just all of them dancing. It was a really funny imagery to see. But yeah, like the entire premise and all of the imagery was just very wacky, but it was also very fun.